Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Ben Backus.
And I'm Kevin Paulin, and welcome to the Falling Up Podcast, where we have conversations about turning obstacles into opportunities. And on today's show, we have the pleasure of being joined by Mr. Xzavier Richardson.
Xzavier is a serial entrepreneur. He started his first company at 19, Hands On Moving, and also recently founded Xzavier Richardson Business Consulting. In our conversation today, we talk about all the obstacles he faced in founding his businesses, along with some personal health problems that he went through along the way.
So without further ado, welcome to the Falling Up Podcast. So I've been waiting for this. You know what I'm saying? Because I've been wanting to give you your flowers, bro. Because I don't think well, you don't know the impact you had or have, how you ever put it on me.
Oh, yeah. I appreciate that,
bro. So as you know, for our listeners, I came home in 2014, and my first job was a Hands On Moving. So we know the story. You know what I'm saying? I was in there, fresh home, throwing king size mattresses on the back. I was in there, wow, just tossing shit. But when I was in prison and thinking about like the my future, my plans, you know what I'm saying? The big thing was entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
So, well, not only the opportunity, I appreciate the opportunity, but to see you at that age starting a company, you know what I'm saying? That inspired me, bro. You know what I mean? That motivated me to this day. Cause like, you know what I'm saying? We share the same pigment. We share the, you know what I'm saying? Same culture.
Yeah.
And it ain't easy. You feel me? Especially where we from. You know what I'm saying? So to have a real life person I could call that's doing what I want to do was just like, yeah, I could do this. You know what I'm saying?
Appreciate that.
Yeah. Nah,
I mean, that's what, I love to hear that because on my side, I don't receive that enough. And sometimes you really want to make a platform for opportunity for people. So I appreciate you sharing that because a lot of people don't share that. And honestly, it's been a long time since you worked at Hands On.
Yeah.
So you held that in for a while.
Yes. Yeah.
So I'm still going to be mad at you a little bit for not telling me that a long time ago. But, I have employees that come to me nervous, like, oh, boss, do you mind if I go back to school? Oh, boss, do you mind if I take this opportunity over here with this job? I could make a couple of dollars more, but they'll pay for me to go back to school, this and that. And I'm like, you don't have to be afraid. I said, this is a stepping stone for you to do more. And I always like push that. So, I had someone that just said that, hey, I want to work at Amazon, not because I don't want to work here, but Amazon pays for me to go back to college. Let's do it. I said, go have time, go part-time or go full-time, get in there. I said, what's the minimum? You got to be there 90 days. Okay, do that. I said, it's about to be the winter time. Come back next summertime. Come get these tips and all that stuff that you used to getting. I said, but, finagle the system to get ahead, and I understand what that feels like. So, I already knew you weren't going to stay at Hands On. That was never my goal for you. My biggest thing was an opportunity for you to get back on your feet right away. And then from there, let you take that money, that cash flow to invest and do more with yourself and look elsewhere and get, your resume together, get you time. People don't understand just that little bit of time to just have some money, but to think of something else.
Right.
Like I'm all for that, That I'm not like, oh, why is she thinking about going elsewhere? No, that was my way of saying like, no, this is your stepping stone for you to get some money and get back in the real world, connect. And you saw the type of people we're moving. You were networking with people. People get other jobs for meeting certain clients. Yeah. You a lawyer here, you there. I have people that got hired from clients, Yeah. It happens. So I appreciate that, man.
No problem, love that this conversation started here. And I want to bring it back and tie this all in. I was looking through your website, and first and foremost, that's probably the cleanest website I've ever seen.
Thank you.
Not just saying that. It is, you knocked it out the park. But on there was the quote from Loretta Scott King: "The greatness of a community is most accurately measured by the compassionate actions of its members." What you guys were just talking about really tied into that, and I'm curious what that quote means to you, and also why is community so important?
I always say hands-on community, and I say that as my supporting cast. And I mean that not just from my customers, but I say from my neighborhood, people that look like me, social media, friends, fraternity brothers, the list goes on. And you just got, where I'm from, we beat up that we don't have enough support. We always say, oh, where we come from, nobody support us, or people be hating on me, or he, my community, they don't want to see me win. And I'm like, nah. The reason why hands-on movement is winning is because of my community and where I'm from. I look at it differently, the shares, the likes, just the comments of you doing well. I see what's happening, And sometimes I will say that in the beginning, if you're not really thinking about it in the beginning, I will say, like, I didn't notice as much. But I think just like anyone else, everyone's skeptical. Like, is he really serious about this movement thing? Is he living and breathing it? And I think over time, like what you say, like how you kind of just now telling me, like, I want to give you your flowers. I think we just don't understand, especially from our community, sometimes it just takes time to give someone their flowers, Even though you think you deserve it right away. Sometimes we just got to see, are you going to just change careers? Are you going to not be the mover anymore and be the real estate agent? Are you going to be this? And I think that, people just see me really sticking with this from college. It didn't go left, didn't go right. And whatever I did new kind of made sense. The landscaping, the delivery company, everyone's just like, wow, he's just an entrepreneur. And he really takes it serious, right? Yeah. So that's what I look at from the community standpoint. It's like really giving a platform for people for opportunity, which is, a job, and then letting them grow by me growing within my company. And as you probably see, I got a leadership team, VPs and all that. So coming from that corporate world, working at, within healthcare and retail management, I'm like, I'm not going to be this regular moving company where you just pick it up and put it down. We're not educated, because I got started a moving company because I wasn't smart enough to do anything else. I'm like, no, we going to make sure that we have structure here. We're going to bring corporate to this industry. And that's why you see my guy's uniform. You see the nice website. You see the ads. I said, no, let's go like we CVS. Let's promote like we CVS or Aetna or something like that. Why not? Yeah. Why we got to just be the movers with, graffiti shirts on and the headband and the sweatbands? No, we going to wear khaki pants, a collar shirt. We going to do everything that you think that we wouldn't do. So now, we stand out. So that's what I kind of got from the community standpoint. Like, I always say the hands-on community. I always felt like I was supported since day one.
So tell me about day one. How did all this come about?
So day one was sitting in a lecture junior. I was a junior at Southern Connecticut State University. My teacher was saying, go for your dreams. I was in the accounting class. Go for your dreams. It's never the perfect time, blah, 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 blah. So it just hit me. I'm thinking that I got to start real life after college like every other college kid. I could just play around this 4 years and just have, shitty jobs, make $11 an hour, blah, 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 blah. That's what the average college kid think. Like, let me just do what I got to do to get by. But I really want to get to the party on Friday night. But if you know me, if you really know me, like, I worked throughout college. I was in management at the age of 19 at Lowe's Home Improvement. Like, I always was selling, like, if I'm going to work somewhere, I want to be on the top. Yeah. So I was never just a seasonal guy that just was like, let me get a couple hours and go home. Like, I'm the one doing 40, 50, and I'm chilling with the managers on like, hey, how could I get that person a job?
Where'd that come from? Because that is, I would say for most people, that's not an innate calling to be like, hey, I'm going to put in 100% of the time.
I just think old school parenting. So I'm the youngest. My parents were like 40 when they had me. So I think I was a mistake, honestly, probably. So, I grew up listening to Barry White, old school. So I have an old soul, Yeah. So I'm an old soul and a young mind. I'm 31 years old, but like, I think from an old mind. And, my parents being from the South, they just always work hard. They came here, got into real estate. My father had owned multiple businesses, so that's what I got the entrepreneur spirit from. And just seeing him always having the mindset coming from down south, I don't want to work from nobody. He always wanted to kind of have his own thing. That was like his mindset. And my mom was like, she learned from him, got into real estate, but she was always about like getting, always staying at a job. Like, so she retired from the post office, but she stayed there for 30 plus years. So like I had both sides where I was like, all right, my mom, you are loyal. You go to work every day. You work hard. You do what you got to do. So I took that from her. But my father's like, you work hard, but you don't work too hard. And you're trying to maximize how much money you can make within a short period of time. And don't ever work for nobody else. That's his mindset. So they're totally opposite. But I love that my father went home at 12 o'clock after eating Subway and he could sleep for 4 hours and make money. Right. I like that he could just say, hey, let's just go on a trip to Massachusetts on a Wednesday and just make money. I like that he could just say, let's go to Toronto and go see Niagara Falls randomly and still be making money. So I'm like, I'm sitting there at 9 years old, like, I want to be like this guy. Like, my mom has to get up and go to work all the time. And like, she used to work overnight. I'm like, it looked like she hates that. But he is just happy and jolly and just doing whatever he wants to do. So I will say that I did have the opportunity to see that, front row seat. So, that everyone doesn't get the opportunity to see that. So I will give that credit to my parents. And then it's just one of those things. It just was a switch where my father mindset was like, I'm not working for nobody. So in that junior year in college, when that lecture was happening, I felt like he was talking to me because I was going to go like, oh, let me wait till after college. And literally it was like November. It was that fall semester. And I'm like, I'm going to start hands-on moving that January. And that's exactly what I said.
Yeah, it's so interesting and kind of reflecting back on what you're saying now, the idea that in life, we get these little pieces of information all the time, right? Like how many times may you have, someone said those exact words, but all of a sudden in that classroom on that day, it actually clicked. And then you had the courage to really put it into action and make it happen. So the idea, hey, I can see it in the people around me. So that gives me some reference points to look at, but then I can actually intellectualize it and feel it through the schooling, which is the perfect combination.
Yeah.
Definitely courage doing it while in school, junior year. I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
What year did it start? Did you start hands-on?
2014. Yep.
Damn.
Yeah.
That was really one of your first employees. Damn. Because I came home 2000. Wow. I didn't realize that.
Yep. That was the first year. It was the trial run. I remember a couple of fraternity brothers and friends and using my network and Jeff, who you know, my brother come home. He's strong, big. Okay, like, and we was getting paid good. I was paying y'all $20 an hour.
Yeah.
Like, my first year was like I'm gonna bless everybody. We college kids, we young. I don't know what I'm doing. I said everyone getting paid good. I just need y'all to show up and work hard and let's grow this brand. So that first year, we ended up doing like 600 jobs by accident. I was like, oh, this is serious.
Really?
So it was like mid, like I would say like November, October. After starting that year, I'm like, I got to get a website. I got to do this. I got to do that because I was just really on I'm going to do moving after my classes or in between classes. And then it's like the phone kept ringing. I'm starting to walk out of class answering. I'm at work in the aisleway at Lowe's, like whispering in the paint department. I'm like, oh, this is a problem. Like I'm really not caring about anything but this phone. And this phone is just looking like dollars and dollars and dollars. So I'm like, oh, I got to really get my stuff together. So I'm like, I got to get with the BBB, get accredited. I got to get my website. I got to get my accountant stuff together because I'm like, I thought I had so much time to really let that like blossom. And the demand just came like that, And I'm like, okay, I'm about to be a businessman for real. So, and then I think it was just having the right type, that combination of college kids working for me. They were young, athletic, and they were educated. So going into houses, it was a difference of having the old mover that moves slow, that been doing it 20 to 40 years. He's burnt out. He's cutting corners, He's probably not educated. And it's this young guy fresh out of college that's smart, and his crew is athletic and smart too. So the football players are, yes, sir, yes, ma'am.
Right.
And they're strong. They're putting this, like you said, putting over their shoulder. So it's like that judgment that you may get in stereotypes, I was changing that based off how my business was operated. I'm like, no, these guys are African American. They are from here. They know what they're doing. They can say yes, ma'am, yes, sir. They can pull up their pants, and I'm going to show you how. And that's what I think made the difference of like, wow, this guy has a different business model. And then I'm like, I never wanted to sway left or right from him because when I did, I noticed that the quality was going down. So I always go back to the football coach at Southern. I still go back to the fraternity brothers because that's what built me. And I say, hey, y'all got anybody that want to work? And I do the same thing till this day. Every spring, I go back to the same group of people, fraternity brothers and the college kids and the football players. Because once I switched up, I noticed that, I didn't have to worry about people stealing the diamond ring because you know what? If they steal and they get caught, they lose their scholarship.
Right. There you go.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So it was a trickle effect. So I'm like, oh, this works. But someone that knows me off the street, might try to, grab something really quick, someone else. So those little things, it's like you got to be really that like I think deep like that.
Was
Like,
that intentional from the beginning?
No.
So how did this come about? Because something that I'm already inspired about, right, is you had an idea. It sounds like you were kind of, for a second, just kind of throwing shit at the wall, hoping it would stick, and then it did.
So the moving thing, let me get it wrong. I always wanted to have a
Yep.
moving company. The idea of starting a junior year was that lecture. I
Right.
would give it credit to that. As far as like the mindset of how to really like set myself apart, that happened mistakenly because that was just like, okay, that was just my resource. My resources was I was in a fraternity, I was in college, I played football all through high school. I didn't play in college, but I played in high school, so I related to football. So then it's just like, all right, let me try these 3 circles out. And then I noticed that I didn't really have to teach these guys, yes, ma'am, yes, sir.
Yeah.
I didn't have to teach them, hey, we need to move quick. They just did it naturally. So I'm like, oh, and then they like money. So they got the $20 an hour, they got the tips. So now these college kids are excited and they want to work every day. Like to the point where they're working 16 hours a day and they're coming back tomorrow. Where someone else is like, I need a day off. They're still coming back. So I'm like, oh, this is how this works. People that need money is going to want to work, which college kids need money. Mm-hmm. And you're not giving them shitty money. You're giving them good money, $20 an hour, right? Mm-hmm. And if they are professional, they get tips as well. So you got these people in, Bridgetown suburbians giving them $100 a piece, $200 a piece. I had a customer give 4 guys $1,000 tip for working hard. So now it's like, oh, that's what happens when I work hard, So it just, and then like I didn't appreciate it as much then, but now I love seeing my guys excited coming to work. I like hearing on Friday I made $500 to $600, $800 in tips.
Yeah.
I just look out the office sometimes, out the door, just hearing them being excited to get that check, and I'm like, wow, that's the work of me putting in this foundation years ago. I'm glad to see that, Like, you genuinely be happy to see people happy about where they work at, and they made money, you know, from working hard. So,
And so it sounds like sports was a pretty big part of your life growing up, maybe still a big part of your life.
Yeah.
What can sports... How are sports and business similar? What can you learn from sports? What role can sports play in building someone's life?
Sports, honestly, especially for people that don't have a father figure, I always recommend, if it's a mother or whatever, or anybody, uncle, like get that kid attached to sports. And it's because the coaches were my mentor. Like, even though my father was in my life, he was busy being an entrepreneur. Just like myself now, I'd be like, wow, I'm kind of like my father. I'm too busy to be around the kids. And that's not an excuse not to make sure your kids are raised well. You still got to put them in situations to make sure that if you can't do it, someone else is doing it. Mm-hmm. So my father purposely put me around men to make sure I was fine. The fraternity brothers, like there were, father figures. Being in a church, father figures, being around the men in the church. Like same thing with doing sports, growing up around men, as coaches, making sure that, that discipline is there. And obviously, sports come with discipline, having a schedule, being on time, trying something new, trying a new position, all these different things. It's the same thing with being an entrepreneur. Trying something new, trying a different position. You gotta wear multiple hats. Sometimes you gotta be the payroll guy, sometimes you gotta be the accountant, sometimes you gotta be the mover, sometimes you gotta, put out fires. It's the same mentality, and it's that grit of you're not gonna never give up. Right? So that's the biggest thing that I really say that comes from the sports world to the entrepreneur world, because I'm big on fell up. So I love that I was going on this podcast, because I always looking at it and I'm just like, it's always been fell up moments in sports. It's fell up moments in entrepreneurship all the time. It's the good days, the bad days. The days I'm coming in smiling, and it's the days I'm coming in like, how am I going to get through this day?
Right.
Oh my gosh, that's the problem I have on my table right now. Oh, everyone wants you. Everyone needs you at the same time. The fires happen, back to back sometimes. And sometimes they don't happen at all, right? So that's my relationship with the sports. Is just that grit mentality, just to keep going. And I think learning, I think it's a skill set just to learn to keep it on the field. It's the same thing as learn to keep that at the office, That's something that takes a while. I mean, I'm still terrible at that. My wife would tell you, I still got the notebook on the side of the nightstand. I'm still thinking of ideas, growth mentality. I'm up at 2:00. Honey, what you thinking about? I'm thinking about this business idea. I'm on my phone, putting things in my notes. I'm waking up like from a dream, and I'm taking an hour and a half to really build it out like a business plan in the middle of the night. So that's a little scary. I'm still trying to stop that. But
that's hard to stop.
It's hard.
That's a lifestyle, because it's a lifestyle. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's hard. So
when did you figure out that you were a problem solver? Because as an entrepreneur, that's equals, right? Problem solving.
I mean, I've been doing that for a long time, though. I can't even say I just been that guy for a long time. Everyone just kind of come to me to solve problems. So I think it's just probably seeing that entrepreneur side of my parents. Always kind of problem solving. So I was just always that kid in high school, and just like, always the person that you could go to. So it's just natural now. Cause I just always feel like there's a solution. There's always a solution, right? It's just like anything else. Just like, all right, if you got a bill that needs to be paid, you could not pay it, but could you maybe make a deal with the person that you're not paying,
right,
and maybe get an extra 2 weeks and not get a bad inquiry on your credit, or blah, 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 blah. It's about how you go about that solution. Some people just say, I'm just going to ignore the person. No, that's not the best option. You could not pay it, make a deal, pay it 2 weeks later, not get the bad inquiry, still be in good standing, and still keep the car. But if you're just going to go the horrific route of just ignoring, that's a solution, but it's not the best solution, right? And it's just kind of like how I promise. So I'm like, let me find the best way to make a solution for this person or this thing, right? And sometimes I'm a deal person too. I'm an entrepreneur, so I'm like, let me make a deal,
Yeah.
You give me a little bit, I give you a little bit, and I do that with my contracts and everything, and my vendors. Like, I get it. We all got to work together to get ahead. So
yeah. Well, I never give up, because I feel like the person that takes that bad solution of saying, fuck it, I'm not listening, or I'm not paying that creditor, is also saying I'm giving up. You know what I mean? So that never give up is everything. Can't give up in entrepreneurship.
And it's survival, right? Meaning we care so much about the immediate right here, right now, just based on the ways that we've evolved, that it's a lot easier when we're in that moment of, hey, I have this bill to pay, but I don't have the resources to pay it, to kind of get into the fetal position and be like, I'm going to out of sight, out of mind type of thing. But then a week, month, year, it's 10 times worse. Whereas being resourceful and making those deals or doing what is in one's control, although that's super uncomfortable and vulnerable to pick up the phone and do that, it gets you where you're trying to go.
And we got to look at how this world is. I mean, look at Donald Trump. I mean, you could go bankrupt and still be that guy. You could do all these different things. It's just like, what are you going to do? You're going to go in the corner and crawl up, or you're going to put your big boy pants and figure it out, right? And, when you hit that roadblock, there's options. It may not be the best options, but you got to reset. That's what I mean by fell up. You got to reset, right? You got to find a way to fail up in this situation. It's a moment, and I always say fell up moment. It's a moment that you got to go through. But it's like, how you going to get back up and bounce back up from this thing, right? And we all going to go through it, right? We all going to go through some financial thing. As we see how the world is, the recession of 2008. What is it right now? Going right back to it, right? Everyone was, the pandemic, we're here right now with no mask on, right? How would this room be a year or two ago, right? It's just like, it's the world had a fell up moment with COVID, we all got slapped. And then it was like, oh, okay. Then everyone was so scared, and now everyone's like, why do we have to wear masks? It's our rights. We shouldn't have to. No one would say that a year or two ago. It's like, you better not come near me without a mask on.
That's a fact.
It's just the way it's just the way this world is. I always said this is the way humans are, right? It's just, I always my wife laughs at me. I'm like, I just can't stand humans sometimes. Like, human beings, like the way we think it's just crazy. I just talk about how the airport is. Like, without 9/11, no one will be okay with taking your shoes off. But we all take our shoes off with no problem, because if it wasn't for 9/11, you're going to tell me to take my shoes off? I'm not putting my feet on this dirty airport floor, right? Yeah. But because of something horrific happened, we want to follow rules now, and we're okay with it, right? It's just, it's mind-boggling.
And that's a great point. But it's also, right, like pain breeds innovation. When we go through those, without those moments, what is the need to get out of that comfort zone and create this new product, this new whatever it may be that allows the world to continue to move forward? On the note of falling up, is there a moment that really sticks out that you can share where it's like, hey, I had to fall up here?
Yeah. So I fell up. Let's keep it combined that way. My moment was when I was working at Lowe's Home Improvement. when I was in college. Busted my butt, came in as a seasonal worker, got promoted 3 times, doing everything, got into management. And then I got terminated because of a safety issue. So basically what happened was I was driving a forklift. It was a new seasonal guy spotting me. He was on his phone and he stopped suddenly. So the pallet of mulch hit his butt, tapped him on the butt. He reacted like, hey, you hit me. Didn't get hurt or nothing like that, but it's still a safety issue. The store manager loves me. Everyone loves me. But he just said casually, Xzavier, we have a no tolerance when it comes to this stuff. Unfortunately, I got to let you go. I'm like, dude, are you serious? Like, I never felt defeated. Like, I worked so hard for somebody. I did everything right. I come out at 5 o'clock in the morning after like being up studying at Southern, I was a maniac doing 6 classes. My senior year, I did 6 classes at Southern, and I needed 1 class. I did 1 at Gateway. I was doing 7 classes in 1 semester just to graduate, right? So I'm saying,
wait.
I was a maniac. I was a maniac. Yeah. I was on something like, I'm not coming back to this school for 1 class.
Okay.
So I'm like, I'm about to max out.
Now spring semester?
No, cause what I could have did 4 and like 3. Like, that's what the regular college kid that wants to be in college and party. Like I said, I'm an old soul. I want to get out here and make money.
Yeah.
So me coming back for 1 class is going to hurt me. So I'm going to do what I got to do. But back to the Lowe's thing, I was just defeated. Called my wife. Well, my wife now, but my girlfriend at the time. I'm just like, hey, like, I just got fired. She was like, what? You? I said, yeah. And I explained it to her. I was emotional and all that. And then I was like, but you know what? I said, I always look at the greater good. I'm like, you know what? This was a 40-minute drive. It was in Plainville, and I lived in New Haven, Hampton area. I said, it was a 40-minute drive. So I'm over here just saying everything how this is going to be good for me.
Right.
It's a 40-minute drive. Now I could get a job that's closer. I said, I'm doing moving on the side. I said, so I could still go unemployment and still now got more chance to do moving on the side and make more money, this and that, blah, 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 blah. So I'm like, I'm thinking about all the goods before I get out the parking lot. Like, my wife is like, you're a maniac. Like, you just... So when you ask how I always thought like that. Even then, before I even, like, launched the moving company, like, to being where it is now, I was always thinking of solution. How I bounced back. Fell up moment. Before I got out the parking lot in my red Honda Coupe, I remember...
Yeah, I remember that red Honda Coupe. Yeah.
That's what
I was looking for.
By the time I got down the Merritt Parkway to my house to see my girlfriend, I had a plan for myself already on how the future is going to look. So that was my fell up moment. In the moment, I felt defeated, but I'm like, and it was the best thing that happened to me. That's how Hands-On Moving came about. I ended up working at Target for maybe a couple months because I got into like I said, it was closer to my house. So I felt like I did something big. It's only like 15 minutes, whatever. And then I'm like, this is not for me. So I did that. And then I got into Yale Hospital, right? Mm-hmm. Got into Yale Hospital seasonal. And then when I graduated, I went from a seasonal employee to managing a department. So everyone in the department like, who is this guy? Like, how did he come in here? But they didn't know I had 5 years of management experience. Like, at that time, I was like 22, 23. So that's when I started Hands-On Moving parallel with working at the hospital.
Okay.
But you look at this young guy, you'd be like, how does he have management experience? Because I started at 18 with this. When I got at Lowe's, I remember I got promoted 3 times. So I started at 18, my first year in management. So 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. It didn't make sense to people, but I'm like, no, check my resume, check the facts.
Yeah, I put the work in. I put that work in.
It really is remarkable. And as you're saying that, I'm thinking here, man, like, the mind is such a powerful thing, right? Like, you could have so many people go through that exact experience where through the most trivial thing ever, they lose a job, and how that can put them into a severe depression or really take them off their feet for a long period of time. Mm-hmm. Yet here you are, not even a 40-minute drive back, and you're already coming up with the next thing. And I think that just speaks such wonders where, like, life is really lived up here. Mm-hmm. And if you have control of those thoughts and what to feed, how there's always a way forward, and how in real time it still hurts. And that's not to pretend that doesn't hurt, right? Because I think that changes definitions and can create a lot of problem. Mm-hmm. But to be able to flip those thoughts and kind of shift that paradigm to be able to think in this adaptive way. When was the first time you did that? Because that's not, my guess is that wasn't the first time that you had to kind of flip that thinking, because that is an advanced skill right there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, it happened obviously multiple times, probably on a smaller scale. But that's probably my wake up call to like screw working a 9 to 5, which I promote now as my empire state of mind. That was my first real like, forget this 9 to 5 shit.
Yeah.
I'm a number on a piece of paper. I'm disposable. No matter how hard I work, no matter if I went to the cookhouse, to the store manager's house or the assistant store manager's house, I was in the cool crew. Because of a rule, you're gone, right? And like I think that's probably why I'm a little bit more lenient in my business, because I understand the value of people. And I think that sometimes I think every rule is meant to be broken. Rules are needed, but some are meant to be broken, and that's how the biggest things come about in this world. Someone tries something different, and that's why this is this. Someone decided to try Uber. Someone said that taxis are not just a thing, right? That's standardized. Taxi was in every town. They were the same color, probably the same model car, right? But who went out the comfort zone to say, I'm going to break this rule and say you could use your personal car to transport people? And that person that did that went against the rule, and now is what? Who they are today with Uber, right? So it's just the same thing. It was like, I just look at it as like, wow, like sometimes that corporate structure is so cutthroat, where like now just think about how most corporation was before COVID. Now you're begging people to work for you. Now you need people, right? All those old school people that have been there for 20, 30 years that you laid off, 40 years, that was committed, coming in early, staying late. You ain't getting that from this generation.
At all.
This generation is like, I'm going to work for you for 2 weeks because you gave me $2 more than the other company, but I already applied for this other job that I really want that's going to give me $5 more than you. As soon as they call me, I'm out of here. Where someone like my mom that retired from the post office, she wasn't even putting in a resume anywhere else, even though she probably could have, right? Because she was loyal to the job. And that's what, like, I just think like that, like 24/7, where it's like, I already know that I got to make this empire here at Hands On the best opportunity. That's why it's like, you could work for me on the moving side. You could do deliveries if it gets slow. You could do landscaping if moving is closed on a snowstorm. All my guys, they just ask to work for me on the snow side when the moving side slows down. Sorry. So we don't move in the snow, but I have a landscaping business. We shovel in the snow.
Right.
So it's like that empire. I'm like, I want to keep you here. I don't want you to be a number on a piece of paper. I don't want you to have a second job or third job. Stay in this hands-on brand. I'm making an opportunity for you to stay in this family. And I always think community like that, because I never want someone to feel that way where they have to just shuffle left and right because they hate this job, or they hate the second shift, or they hate working at their overnight job. Just love working here because it's ample opportunity, you know? So that's kind of what that's what I mean by the empire. Like, that those 3 businesses is like those. Just I look at it not as a financial thing, more so of an opportunity option for people. You know, so like if you don't like moving, you could do deliveries. If you need a day off of doing deliveries and moving fridges, come on the landscaping side. All right, you know. So it's like I got options for you.
Yeah,
you know.
So I'd love to touch on the empire a little more. You've mentioned that several times, and I know it is a big part of the consulting business. It sounds like with empire state of mind.
Yep.
How did that come about? What is an empire to you? How do you define it?
So it came about more so like how I just gave opportunities from business number 1, business number 2, business number 3. So it started off with Hands On Moving, where it's like, okay, I don't know how to fulfill keeping good guys around when it slows down in wintertime, right? So I don't have an empire, because as good as you may be, you got to get another job because moving is not as busy, right?
If you were to quickly define empire, just so we all know kind of what the vision is in your mind, what is that?
Empire is literally doing whatever you want to. And I look at it simply as this. It's dreaming. I say empire is dreaming, right? And when I go off of dreaming, I can keep it real simple. It's just loving what you do and having time to do it, right? So that's what I look at. I'm not looking at it from a financial. I'm not saying being rich. Like people sometimes think that. It's more so just living out your dream, and whatever that is if that is a cookie shop with 1 van, and you want to do it with your moms and retire that way. That's your empire, right? Because you're doing what you want. You doing it how you want to do it. You doing it with the person you want to do it, and you doing it how you know what I mean? Like, it's just simple as that. So I never liked the 9 to 5 because I felt like I was just kind of just stuck and just I'm working 9 to 5. I'm doing it just for a paycheck. You know, I could be a ladder climber, but as I'm climbing a ladder, I could be cut off at any way for a safety issue,
right,
and be tossed to the left or right. It's not no empire to me, right? So I'm not really living my dream out. I'm not doing what I want. You
living somebody else's dream.
Living someone else's dream, right? Yeah. So it's literally living out your dream to the fullest, you know. And I keep it simple as that because I don't want to put a clear definition on it. I don't want to put a dollar amount on it because it's not that. It's really whatever you want. If you are a person that struggles at reading books and you just become a person that could read fluently now and have multiple books that, you know, you write your own book one day, that's you live out your dream.
So it's freedom.
Life. Yeah, it's freedom. Time freedom is big too, you know? So it's just really that freedom to it, you know? So I don't want to overtalk it because it could go so many different ways.
Yeah.
But I try to keep it simple as it's dreaming. Yeah. So when you normally ask me that question, I say it's dreaming and I just shut up. But I want to give you guys a little bit more.
Yeah.
I like that though. Yeah. I really do. I like that empire dreaming.
I heard that from Rick Ross too. Like he said something simple like that. He just like, he was dreaming. And he just took a sip of his alcohol and he just stopped talking. And I'm like, you know what? Maybe I should start doing that right after I say empire. But I like to give a little details. But
no, I really that is empire. I agree with that. Yeah, I agree with that because you do what you want, how you want to do it with that freedom. I know you big on time freedom. You know what I'm saying? You want to talk about that and what that looks like? And
yeah, I mean, the grind. We always talk about the grind. We always talk about working hard, but a lot of time we don't reap the benefits of our hard work, right? And there was a couple of people that I came across where it's like, Xzavier, stop jumping on the back of the moving truck. Let your guys just do that. And I'm like, nah, all hands on deck. That's how hands on came about. So I thought of the name, right? I got to be involved with the guys. I got to make sure the job go right. And he would just say, all you doing is crippling your guys. He said, and when are you going to actually reap the benefit? He said the accountant gets paid. He said the IRS get paid. He said the insurance policy get paid. The HR person get paid. Everyone gets paid from your business. When are you going to pay yourself? He said the best way to pay yourself is having freedom, time freedom. Times with your kids, times with your wife, see them grow up, all these different things. And all the things. And then when I heard that, I really thought about all the things my father missed with us having that grind mode 24/7. So don't get me wrong. I always tell people you got to start off that way to get to the top and, have that, you got to put in the extra hours. You got to do the happy hours and, the networking to 9 o'clock at night. I did all that in the beginning to the point where I used to come in at 10 o'clock. I used to meet with people, handshake, meeting with people, doing meetings all the time. Now I don't have to do that as much because my reputation kind of speaks for itself. But you can't eliminate that in the beginning, but you have to have a goal to get the time freedom. Because you're going to burn out and you're going to get at a spot where you just kind of plateau and don't really grow anymore. And then before you know it, you're stuck there. And then sometimes you may end up going backwards, right? Yeah. So that's why, I built my teams up enough where my company kind of runs itself. And then when I do have that craziness, it's kind of like a spark to the whole empire. Because it's like, the boss is here and he's motivating us versus doing the work for us. Because when you got your team structure to the point where you build it enough by your crazy grind mode, they're already doing what they saw from you every day. So you coming in just with that spark, you just kind of just lit the fire again, right? And that's what I do at Hands On Moving at this point. My team already have that drive. They're already driven for sales. They're driven about growing the company. They're already looking at the future. I'm just coming in here and there to just make sure that flame is still lit,
So on the topic of time, you had a great quote. It says, I get to work on my business versus working in it. What does that mean?
So just what I said, I don't have to be the one moving furniture anymore. But now I could think of, how could I grow this empire? How could I now get into theater moving? How could I get into commercial moving? How could I start working and partnering with companies like Yale University? That's the stuff I love. I love those big connections. So I just reshape what my talent is. My talent, I don't need to be the one moving the box. Anyone at $13, $14, $15 could do that, right? My talent is to use this brain, right? So that's what I really had to say. You know what? Someone had to tell me that's where your value is, Xzavier, that brain. You know, the community, getting out there, helping others. That was the key of coming to the consulting business. Someone just said, Xzavier, the world needs you. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, the world needs you. The way you think, the world needs you. You need to be helping others in entrepreneurship, because this is what you live and breathe. So that's what the consulting business came about. Because I'm like, all right, because I already was doing it, but not getting paid for it, right? I was doing a natural conversation like we're doing right now, but then someone's like, no, like, there's value on that. Put $1 to it, still have the care that you have, and have your own metrics behind it, right? And you are the real deal. You are an actual entrepreneur that's actively still doing it. Versus someone that went to school for consulting and said they read a bunch of books, and you're trying to teach somebody through modules. So my consultation is different. We're not looking at no slide 1 through 16. We're doing real stuff. You know, we've real fell up moments. What happened to you last week? Tell me about it. This happened in my business. Let's work that out right now. Let's make a solution for your problem right now. That's my consultations. Not no, open up the book, go to module 16, the business plan, the marketing section says do X, Y, and Z. This is what they said to do, you know, step 1. No, we're not doing that. You can find that. You can find that online in Google and YouTube. We're not doing that. And
that shit really. I mean, not to say it don't work, the modules, but like entrepreneurship is such fluid. It's just so fluid, and it's not. It's no one shoe fits all, like or one size fits all. Like you can't. Like, I guess the module is good to have a foundation of understanding, but when it really comes to problem solving, I'm pretty sure you agree, every problem that you done solved is different than the last one.
And don't get me wrong, I'm all about systems. So my clients definitely, we have systems, we have agendas, we have systems. But what I mean by that is we're talking about someone that really does this every day. So when you come with a problem, I'm coming with a solution right now. I got to do my consulting business just like I am as an entrepreneur, or I'm failing you.
Yeah.
You know, I got to be exactly who I am, because you're hiring Xzavier Richardson. That's the reason why you want to invest in working with me, because you see what I have done. So your expectation is to get that in return, right?
Right.
And that's what I always want to stay true to. I don't want to get too corporate or too much paperwork or too like kind of like a study group that I look at a bunch of stuff online and then give it to you. Like, no, I want to give you Xzavier Richardson, because that's why you came to me, right?
Well, it's practicality versus idealism, right? Like, we live in this world where we are always talking and arguing about ideals. Hey, in the ideal world, this is how we would operate. Well, as we know, nothing about this world is ideal, and practicality has to lead the way. And when practicality does lead the way, results happen. When we go with ideals, we argue or are constantly chasing our tail. So I think that is it's just an important, I think, point to make, is that you do things based on experience, education, and you blanket those two together, right? So having developed numerous successful businesses, what principles stand out? If you were to kind of give some feedback to an individual who's lost and didn't quite know what they were doing and were thinking about entrepreneurship, what are some some principles that come to mind that, hey, you need this to be able to be successful?
Let me see. You need to have drive. You gotta love what you do first. So I would say that some people are copycats because they saw something. They think that they could do it as well. I mean, that's just the world. I mean, Airbnb happened. You know, everyone wants to get Airbnb, right? We all trendy like that, right? The bad thing about that is you never really sustain or last in those industries because you don't really care for it, right?
Nah.
So who really likes moving other than a mover like me? Like, I actually like moving. Everyone in the world hates it, right? But my father owned a moving company, right? So that's why I fell in love with it, because he owned a moving company, but he you know, I was the youngest. So by the time I was of age, his was already shut down, right? He let his go. So me owning a moving company, I'm not doing it because I saw someone else make money in the moving industry. I'm doing it because I literally saw it in my family. It was a family business. My father owned a moving company. So when you call me as a CEO and have a complaint, I'm actually compassionate about your complaint because I actually care about my business and my industry. Versus Joe Smo that's just say, I'm just here to make money. And I know I can make mad money in this business. I don't care about this 1-star review. Everyone hates moving. You're going to call me anyway if I got a 3-star rating or a 5-star rating. That's what a lot of people in my industry look at it as. How much money can I make out of you within the season, right? But they don't last that long. That's why they keep changing names. They go bankrupt, then they open up this. It's the same owner, and they just, you see how the world works. Like it happens all the time in the club industry, right? Mm-hmm. People in the club industry, the club owners didn't really care about you having a good time. They care about making money. So when the club got shut down or shot up, they just changed the name, re-registered the same club with a different name, and opened up at the same shop and changed nothing. Same security people, same bartenders, same everything. No fix. You know why? Because they didn't care. Yeah. But the clubs or the bars that stay around for 20, 30, 40 plus years with no dramas, no fights, no nothing, those are the people that really were. Their father was a bar owner, or it was in their bloodline, or they love making drinks. They've been making drinks forever. Those people last a long time, right? So,
well, having pride in your work it's so important because pride equates to meaning and purpose.
Absolutely.
Right? If I'm showing up every single day because I genuinely care, my cup's going to be filled. Yeah. Whereas if I have that empty cup, that's what I'm passing out to everyone else.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's big. I think you got to love what you do. Like, that's key to me. That's a principle that I think that's the biggest part of it. Everything else is like, all right, grind, hustle, work hard, all that, that's cool. But we could do that at anything. You could work hard for a company that you don't even want to be at for a couple weeks, but it's just like from a longevity standpoint, for it to really work, you got to love what you do, right? So
that's real shit. That's what happened to me with trucking. Trucking money good, but it is crazy because he's the first person I told, like, yo, I'm about to do this trucking, and he was like, but do you even like it?
Exactly.
Like, why are you gonna do that? And I'm like, yeah, I like it. Yeah. I done drove. My dad's a driver, this and that, but my dad's a pastor and drives. You know what I'm saying? Because of the freedom, so he could be a pastor. Yeah. The ministry is his passion. Yeah. But he drives because he's a good driver, but he don't like that
good
shit.
Supplement from him.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's crazy. I was doing great. I was kicking ass, got drivers, everything, but I hated it. And it was taken away from taken away from school. So I was just like, after the season, I said, I'm going to take a break and go finish school up, and I'm still on that break. You know what I'm saying? So and the money was good, but
you was an owner operator? Okay.
So if you
we'll talk about that. We can get it back on. You're just not going to be in the truck anymore.
Well, you hear me? You know what I'm saying? Yeah, that's a different thing because now.
And that's the thing about it. It's like you love the money.
Yeah.
You love the industry. You just didn't want to be the one driving the truck.
Yeah.
You needed time freedom, right? So it's the same thing. It's like I like moving, but do you think I really wanted to be sore every single day?
Right.
No, right? So like I really always want to get to the point where I'm working on my business. That's always my goal, right? I always wanted time freedom. So you go right back to that trucking thing. You just need to be the person that's just an entrepreneur and just making teams and making systems where it works for you and you still make money. It don't have to be a dream that's closed. You open that back up.
It's still there. But like I said, I'm still on that break. But I do like the hustle. Yeah, I'm a hustler. I love the hustle. I love that. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, we could connect on that. You heard?
See, I did that by mistake. You see that? Sign up for a consultation.
Right. Plug.
You gonna do it too? Watch. You be like, you know what? I'm gonna take them up on that.
I can't give you flowers and don't. And they don't follow up. You feel me? For real.
So outside of business, I know you're passionate about numerous things, and you're involved in numerous different organizations. Can you speak a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I sit on the board for Elephant in the Room. It's a boxing gym in New Haven. So, community kids. So I got a love for that. We sponsored the LEAP program, so I stay connected to that because I used to be a LEAP kid. So I kind of just stay close to the community side, and I always care about like having people around. So I'm always hosting. Like I always host things at my house. I'm the type of person let's host a trip. So you see me going on trips.
Yeah.
That's me and my wife hosting it, just to bring people about, right? So we went to Aruba with a group of friends. We went to Tulum this past June with a group of friends. So I'm always about that gather community. Let's have a good time together, right? Mm-hmm. And we going on like probably year 3 where we kind of been doing the group trips around our birthdays, like celebrate our birthday with us, right? And now it's like, hey, X, when is the next trip? Like, I see everything online. Why can't I get invited, right? So I'm like, damn, I'm about to have a social club at this point. 30, 40 people on a boat, you know, and somebody country. But yeah, that's kind of like outside of the entrepreneur mind. I'm just all about just having good people around me and gathering. Like, and it sounds kind of boring, but that's just me. And then, you know, travel is just the time freedom to get away from everything, right? So I add travel to my bucket list because obviously the world is big, and I just feel like everyone should have the opportunity to really see this world, right? And that's that.
Yeah, traveling I think is one of the most overlooked things, where even if whenever I go anywhere and I tell people I'm from Connecticut, they know nothing about Connecticut. They just think of us as this drive-by state. And I mean, we got everything here from, you know, beautiful, beautiful beaches to rural farmland to cities, and every place you go, whether it's the, you know, the Northwest or what, it's just like you have this landscape and people that are so unique to this specific thing that you're never going to get or see. I was just out in Colorado this weekend, and just to be part of those mountains and feel so insignificant, just be like, I'm just a speck, man. Like, I don't get that here in Connecticut. I don't get that in Connecticut. So it's super refreshing to be able to get out. And I think another misconception is like, you can travel and see things very inexpensively. Right? Like it's possible to get out there, because I think so many people are held back by that financial fear. But there's ways to do things. If there's a will, there's a way.
Right here in the States. You don't even have to go out of the country.
That's right.
I mean, you just go to Philly, DC, Atlanta. People understand. Like, I told my wife, I said, we need to start thinking differently, because we keep going out of the country. I said, we need to start hitting these different places in the States, because it's just, I mean, California is beautiful. These places is just beautiful. So, and also, I got to the point where, like, you probably saw in my bio where, you know, I was diagnosed with lupus in 2012, and you know, I never really shared that with people, and I'm kind of starting to share it more, because where people always say the world needs to hear your story. I think it's, you know, I think I'm doing people a due justice not sharing that what you see that I'm doing. I'm also dealing with an underlying condition too, right? And if you are that person that have those underlying conditions, you could still be like how I am, right? You could still travel, you could still enjoy life. Don't think that, you know, you got to go in the corner and curl up because you got something that knocked you down, fell up moment, right? So probably should have mentioned that. What was my other fell up moment? It was that was in college as well. That happened in college in 2012. You know, walking across campus, breathing heavy, didn't know what the heck was going on. I couldn't even walk. Like, I got out my car one day and I was just breathing heavily, and I couldn't walk from the car door to the sidewalk without bending down. I'm like, holy shit, what's going on, right? And then that's when I was, you know, I went to the hospital. They thought maybe I got bit by a tick or Lyme disease or whatever. Like, they didn't know what was going on. And then come to find out, you know, I was diagnosed with lupus, right? Which it's in about, you know, 10% of males. So it's not really common for a male to really have lupus, right? So when it comes to when you see my drive is a little different when it comes to that too, and really seeing the world, because tomorrow's not promised, right? And I think we all learned that through the pandemic too. Just not like it's just so much death going on, right? Just down in general. Like, I just feel like so much death is going on in general in this world. But I just think, like, I just always push people. I'm like, you don't know like how tomorrow goes. Just go get a plane ticket, go somewhere. And that's what I ask for everyone to do, especially in the inner city. No doubt. Like, you know, especially in the inner city. Like, I just want everyone just to get a little bit, just get past New York, man. Go see Philly. Go get a Philly cheesesteak. Like, you know, go to a football game. Like, some people never been to a professional football game, a basketball game. Like, I did different things. Let me look at hockey. I just start going to baseball games. I'm like, you know what? Let me just try this baseball game thing out, you know? So I'm just trying new things, man. You know, because I'm like, you know, tomorrow your problem is I'd start golfing.
You start golfing?
Yep, I just started golfing. I'm terrible.
Yeah,
but
I want to golf.
But it's fine though. I mean, it's like I feel good just saying like I did it. You know,
right?
Like, I tried it. You know, and I actually like it.
So the last kind of question going on this line is, what did that diagnosis teach you? And what I mean by that is, I know when I broke my back, it was this. I was forced into acceptance of so many things. I was forced into patience. All of these things that prior I really, I intellectually understood what they were, but I never really felt it. And today, although I obviously wish I didn't have to go through that to learn some of these lessons, I think it puts me at an advantage in so many situations because I have these reference points to dig back on. So for you, what did that diagnosis bring out and kind of force you to learn?
Well, originally, you defeat it. Why me, right? And then it really, like, surviving it and being able to eat the same, drink the same, talk like I am talking right now, not being on dialysis like some people that are, diagnosed with lupus. When you know you have a disease and you know that it could be 10 times worse, and especially working in healthcare, and being a person that worked in a transport department, and one of the destinations was dialysis, I always used to get emotional seeing that on the screen, right? And I'm like, wow, I can't be the guy being transported there, right? So it's like, that was like something I'm like, you know what? I really realized this is not a perfect world, because I questioned things like, what did I do wrong? I was healthy. I never broke anything. I never did hardcore drugs. I did everything right, it's just, I'm just questioning all these things. And I'm like, I still got smacked with this fell up moment, right? But I made it through, right? They figured it out. They got on top of it, saved my kidneys, not on dialysis. So it kind of like, you know what? God gave you an opportunity to now do something better, right? Live this out, your life out to the fullest. Don't play any games at this point, right? Because I think that was the switch for me. Like, let me take everything serious now, right? Because like, I already did that and I still got this, right? So I definitely can't cut corners. I can't be a bum. I can't be the person that's not, trying to go to the next level. Imagine if I did all those things and then got that and I could have got defeated. I could have got caught up in the corner. I could have, got depressed. Right. I could have went totally left. But me being so hungry and working so hard and then get slapped with that, I was able to bounce back, right? And then I was like I said, how can I make this a solution? How can I make this a better situation? Just the same thing with being fired, right? Just the same thing with everything else. What are you going to do, Xzavier? You got it now. It's a lifetime disease. What's up? You about to cry, or you going to figure this thing out, right? And that's what I say, you know what? I'm going to figure this thing out. What I got to do, doc? I got to make sure I stay in shape. I got to make sure I eat well. Okay. Take your medicine every single day. Okay, cool. And just keep going to my checkups like anyone else, right? And then I start noticing like everyone got problems, right? I start looking at other people that look like me and young, and I found out that this person has that. This person has that. So I'm like, oh, wow, we all dealing with stuff like, and then you really start looking deep in the world into human beings. We really all got problems, like some type of problem, right? So I'm like, you know what? Maybe what I got ain't the worst thing out there, right? And then that's what I just start looking at the world in a different way. And that's why I kind of, I think people look at me as a mentor, leader, and all those things like that, because I just really I don't just get stuck in that defeat mode. Like any problem I hear someone going through, I just encourage them to do more or do better, because I just know like, hey, my horrific situation, I'm not even tripping on it, to be honest. Yeah. If it takes me out, it takes me out. But I know that long as I do everything to make sure that it doesn't, then I feel good about myself, right?
Right.
Like, long as I'm not doing something against it to make it worse, cool, But, like, if I'm doing everything in this world to be a good father, a good leader, blah, 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 and they decide to take me out at 45 versus 65, 75, I know my legacy was one day I finally told the world, this is what I was dealing with, and I'm going back and support it. So that's what the Hands-On Foundation is going to be, helping with lupus awareness. It's going to be more community-driven, youth, because we got hands-on basketball teams with the Hampton Fathers, those things like that. So we really care about the children in that way too, in the elite program. So that's what my foundation is really going to be about, and just driven that way, just because it's everything that I kind of been with. I was a leap kid too. I don't know you do that, but I was a leap kid, like, you know.
No, you know, Jeff and Ty was up in there.
Yeah, exactly. So like, I came as a person that was in the inner city as a leap kid, so it's like I understood how that older counselor was like a father figure. You know,
Right.
we talk about the father figure thing, like that counselor teaching me, you know, extracurricular activities after school. That was big to me, you know.
And that ties it full circle to where we open with community, talking about linking it right back in, and you know, something that every person that we sit with that is truly genuinely doing the right thing, they always give it away. They always give it away to keep it. And I hear that in every aspect of your life, from wanting everyone to win. And it's this mindset of abundance that we can all eat, we can all win.
Yep.
That's moves the world forward. So I'm thoroughly grateful to have had this conversation.
I enjoyed this.
Likewise.
I had a good time. Where can people find you? How can people get in touch if they want to?
Yeah, so I have my own website, xrichardson.com. I mean, that's probably the best way to kind of find me directly. My businesses are listed there, but, you know, I own Hands On Moving and Storage, handsonmoving.com, Hands On Landscaping, which is handsonlandscapingllc.com, and I own Hands On Express, which is handsonexpress.com. So it's just a hands-on family empire state of mind. So, guys, I appreciate you having me. You know, falling up, you know, we got the same mindset, you know.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That was an amazing episode, man. Thank you, brother.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thanks, everybody.
Falling Up Podcast.